Today, I want to talk about 5 things nobody told me before I became a stay-at-home dad. Not the Instagram version, the actual version. So the first thing is loneliness. Something I've been experiencing the past few weeks being a stay-at-home dad. It's very different from my previous life when I was still working. Because when you're still working, you have your coffee breaks with your colleagues. I was in the lab most of the time with my colleagues when you're doing experiments, when you're doing your research work. You're always chatting, you're always having banter, you catch up on the week activities, you catch up on the weekend activities, where someone went, what they do, or their families. Number of people are getting married this year, so you catch up on the plans that they were doing. You have the lunch banter when you sit down, having lunch together. And the one thing that I do miss a lot was the gym. Every morning I used to go to the gym with my work colleague, who's called Matt. Shout out to Matt. A big thank you for always being there for me. So you'll go to the gym, we'll chat a lot. He's the one person I could really share a lot of things going on. Because when you're lifting weight, randomly you just start chatting about things. And the things that we'll talk about, just have someone to talk to, basically. But the moment I made this switch to be a stay-at-home dad, all that's gone overnight. Now, with my 11 p.m. rebuild, the moment I go to the gym, 11 p.m., midnight at times, 1 a.m. at times, I'm all alone. And that's not the time to call a fellow man and be like, you know what, this is what I'm going through. I'm really struggling. We just don't do that, man. Just don't do that. Maybe it's something I need to learn to do, but I'm definitely not going to do that at 11 p.m. or 12 midnight. So that's one of the things. The fact that I am an immigrant in this country, that means that there is no family passing by to have a quick chat with me. There's no grandparents passing by. There's no parents passing by. There's basically no community just to come and check up on you and have a chat. Something which I would have easily had if I was still back in my country in Kenya. So all these things are all gone. The loneliness just creeps in. The craziest part about this loneliness is that the only sort of human connection you tend to have, or rather I've been having, has mainly been thanks to Bella, this little 5-year-old cavapoo weighing around 10 kilos. She's been my source of human connection because every time we meet another person with a dog, what does she do? She stops for the other dog, and that only means one thing. It means that we start chatting about the dogs. Then one thing leads to another. There's this one time I met this guy where we chatted for ages, for almost half an hour. Stood there, the dog's playing, we were just chatting and chatting. Complete stranger, which to be fair would have never happened if it was not walking Bella. If it was just me and my boys, there's no chance that random girl just stop me and start talking to me. But thanks to this ball of flour here, that sometimes my only source of human connection. It's really sad to say that as human beings, that's where we've reached. That level of community compared to how I grew up. There was so much community love. You knew you had friends, family all around you. And I'm pretty sure this is something which has slowly faded away. I don't think it's only in the UK that is happening. I'm pretty sure even in Kenya it's the same thing. That community love and feeling is slowly dissipating. It's just sad to see. Let me tell you a story. My wife, when she was still on mat leave, she used to go on this walks that they organize within the area, not necessarily where we live, but in most areas within Scotland in general. Like they'll have mom groups, which they meet once a week, go meet up together, talk about stuff, go with the kids and do all the stuff moms do. My wife thought that, you're spending a lot of time with the kids, you don't really interact with people, because I'd mentioned to her about how lonely this journey is. She was like, you know what, there's a mom's group and the kids get along with other kids, so why don't you take the kids there? Thought about it. I was very apprehensive at first, but I kept reminding myself, I'm doing this for the kids, so that's fine, let's do it. I'll take the kids with me, let them go meet other kids, spend time. I got there and I thought, in the back of my mind, I was hoping that there might be another dad, 1 or 2 dads even, but no, unfortunately I was the only one. But I kept reminding myself, you know what, it's for the kids, it's not for me, it's for the kids, so I'll do it for my kids. So we did the walk, had a few chats with some of the moms, but it was still a bit awkward because there are things that they will share that they won't necessarily share with you just being a man. Anyway, after the walk, the group normally goes for a coffee at a nearby cafe, depending on where they're doing the walk, and I just had to make an excuse and I left because I could see what that space was. The moms needed it. They needed it to be with other women going through the same thing, postpartum, exhaustion, that particular kind of feeling, that particular kind of loneliness that comes with having a newborn. That cafe was their space, it wasn't mine. So after that I made an excuse and I drove back home and I realized it's just sad, there's nothing like that for dads because it just doesn't exist, because culturally dad staying at home is not considered a real thing. The second thing I wish someone told me is that as a stay-at-home dad, there is no structure. As a man who built my whole career, rather most part of my life, around routines, be it through my undergrad, my master's role, my PhD role, and finally my work role as a development scientist, it was all based around structure, all based around routines. For each day, I knew what I'd be doing. I'd wake up in the morning and know the whole week's plan, what I'm aiming to achieve for this week, the following week at time. So my whole life was based around structure, from morning to evening, Monday to Friday. But now that's non-existent. You wake up in the morning, you set up your plan with the kids. You're like, okay, guys, today we're going to the library. You end up in the park. You decide, okay, let's have a nap between 12 and 2 p.m. or maybe 12 and 1 p.m. It doesn't happen. They decide, you know what, Dad, today we're going to nap at 4 p.m. It's called the danger nap. So it just makes life incredibly difficult, as most parents will know. Because I don't want to be the sort of parent who set very strict routine for their kids. I want to be easy with them. I want to be free with them. I want to let them lead by example as well. It's more of a case of I won't set, your nap time will always be between 12 and 1. And if you miss it, that's it. I know some parents do that, and that's okay for them. But for me, I have the time with them, and I don't want to set any strict routines. I've done that for over 10, 15 years, and I'm just done with that sort of life. I want them to be free, I want them to enjoy themselves, and that means no routine. And sometimes, as much as you might set a routine by the day activities that you want to do, let's go to the park, then we go maybe safari park, then let's go do a walk. Things just go in different ways, and it's fine. It's kids. Kids are just kids. With my 11 p.m. rebuild, I plan it in a way whereby after I put the kids to bed, go to the gym, and also work on the business. I need to do research, just build it from scratch. But the one thing which I've come to realize, that is just a metaphor, because it never really happens every day. There are days where I'm too tired during the day, and that means when I go to put the kids to sleep, I end up falling asleep myself. And that comes at a big cost, because most of the time I end up waking up around midnight, at times even 1. I wake up feeling so angry with myself because I feel like I've failed. I failed going to the gym, I failed working on the business, and all that means that there's delay in my progress, my mental well-being, because the gym is like sort of my safe space at this moment in time. And working on the business is, the more days I don't work on it, the slower the whole idea of making income comes into being. So if I don't work in the business, then there's no way I'm making income. And that all cascades down to other issues, other pressures. Anxiety starts kicking in. So it's just a metaphor. One thing I have to remind myself is structure is not gone. It has just changed form. The discipline now is not keeping a schedule. It is showing up anyway. On the hard days, with whatever time you have left. A 20-minute gym session at midnight is sometimes all I need. 10 minutes of the business still moves the needle forward. So do not let perfection be the reason why you cannot perform any good. Do not let perfect be the reason good does not happen in your situation. The third thing is identity crisis. Very huge for me. Now, whenever someone asks me what I do, and I pause, not because I don't know, but because I'm calculating how much explanation this person has bandwidth for. I left the corporate life to be a stay-at-home dad. As an African man with a PhD, people still tell me, including the people I love, some family members, that's not a job, D. As a man, I need to find a job. My career was my identity for a very long time. That living it felt like stepping into nothing. My confidence, my worth, my sense of progress, all of it was attached to that title, Dr. David Apar. And now the title is Dad, and the people who matter the most cannot pronounce it yet. Identity cannot live in a job title. A title can be taken from you by redundancy, by discrimination, by decision to live, but what cannot be taken is your intentionality. The question is not what do you do? The question is what are you building and for whom? Now, I know exactly what I am building. I do not need anyone else to validate the address. I've spent decades building my identity. My entire career, my entire life, I've worked towards this identity that I currently have. The Dr. David Apar, masters that I did, leading up to the PhD, leading up to the role that I previously had. All those years I spent in research labs, growing myself, led me to have a sort of identity which people recognize me with, which opened doors without even knocking on them, which helped me survive everything that I've gone through, the various losses that I've gone through in my life, growing up in poverty. That identity changed all that. It gave me so many opportunities in life. But now that title is gone. I'm redefining the title as a dad now, as a stay-at-home dad. It's very different learning to accept that, because so many people know you by your identity, who you are, what you've achieved, your accolades. That's what most people want to see. That's what most people praise you for. So now that I'm no longer that person, so many people struggle to understand, who am I? What am I doing now? Is that really a job? You're just failing in life now. But you know, the one thing that I've realized, all those things that came with the title, with the identity, they never served my family. It was mainly for me. It was mainly for my own selfish gain, my own selfish reasons, just to grow up, be at the career ladder, the corporate ladder. But it wasn't really fully serving my family. Now, the new identity that I'm taking is to serve my family. The fourth thing that I wish I was told as a stay-at-home dad was financial uncertainty. The steady income is gone overnight. Now it all depends on how much I work every night. When I was employed, even a bad month was a steady month. I could do the bare minimum and the salary will still arrive. Now, every day I am too exhausted to work on the business is a day the financial pressure compounds. And I feel that every single night when I close the laptop at 1 a.m. and I know I did not do enough today. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I am telling you because nobody told me the financial uncertainty will feel like a physical weight, and naming it like the way I'm talking to you right now makes it slightly feel less heavy. In addition to that, there's an internal pressure that just compounds every day. Each day I'm too tired to work. Each day I fall asleep, putting the kids to sleep. It's just another day that the income delays, and the more it delays, the more the weight feels heavier and heavier. But it's just something, there's no shame about it. Building, as I made this decision, I knew building will take time, and I just need to be steady with it. There are days which will be tough, there are days which will be easy. The fifth thing is burnout. I thought I will only have burnout in my previous role as a PhD scientist, but no, even as a stay-at-home dad, burnout is still real. I want to be honest about something. When I was still working, when I would come home from a long day in the lab and I'll find the laundry not done, dishes still in the sink, the house in a mess, I'll feel something inside me, something I'm not proud of. I would wonder, what has she been doing all day? How is the house in this state? I needed to hear me say this clearly. I was wrong about everything. I was 100% wrong about everything. Being a stay-at-home parent, be it a dad or a mom, is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I have a PhD, I have survived a blood clot, I've built businesses from a university dorm room. There's no clock in, there's no clock out. The work does not end, it just pauses. Sometimes after bedtime, and then you have to find the energy to go again. You have to find the energy to wake up at midnight, go to the gym and work on your business. And all this comes on limited sleep every single day. I thought about giving up on the gym. I thought about giving up on the business. Some nights I do fall asleep before I get to do either. But I remind myself I need to keep showing up, because the only way this story ends well is if I keep showing up. For the boys, for the business, and for myself, in that order. Burnout as a stay-at-home dad role is invincible burnout. Nobody sees it. Nobody validates it. The job description does not exist in any HR document, which means you have to be the one who acknowledges it, names it, and you give yourself grace for the days when showing up means just finishing that coffee cold or tea cold, and call that a win. The work you're doing is real. The exhaustion is real. And so is the fact that you chose this intentionally because you believe your presence was worth more than your salary. Not every day is glorious. Most days are repetitive, but every single day is intentional. I chose this. I am choosing it every morning when I get up and do it again. If you're a stay-at-home dad watching this, you're not alone. Even when it feels like you're the only one doing it. Even when the working group does not have space for you. Even when your family does not understand why you left your career to be a stay-at-home dad. If you're just the person who comes home tired after a long day in the office and you wonder, why is the house in a mess? Why are there dishes still unclean? Why is the laundry unclean? I really hope this video helped. Subscribe, there is more of this coming.